Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Tega. If you're new on this channel, welcome. And if you're a subscriber or returning, thanks so much for coming. In this video, I'll be showing you how to draft a shoulder dart bustier. So let's get started. You want to grab your pattern paper and fold it over just once. We're going to be drafting the front panel right now. Grab your tape measure or ruler. I have the same measurement on my ruler and tape measure, and I'll be working with inches. Right. We're going to start off by adding our shoulder measurement. So your shoulder measurement divided by 2. Whatever you have, you want to make the marking. Then add your armhole measurement. That means your armhole circumference divided by 2. Whatever you have, you're going to make the marking there. Then you draw a line. You link it up to the shoulder. Once that is done, you want to draft your chest line. From that armhole line, you want to come out, and that's your chest line. Now you want to start adding your shoulder to bust point measurement. Your shoulder to bust point, rule a line. Then your shoulder to under bust measurement, make the marking and rule a line as well. Your shoulder now to your waistline, make the marking and rule a line. Once that is done, you want to add your neckline, your neck depth, and your neck width. You want to add that. I've got 3 by 3 inches here. You can make yours 3 inches by 4, whatever you want. So that's the chest line, that's the bust point, that's the under bust, and that's the waistline. Now I'm gonna come down there by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Our shoulder isn't straight, so you want to make your shoulder slope right. And once that is done, you want to move on to the next stage. Add your dart measurement as your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Whatever you have, you're going to put that marking there. And on the other bust, you want to take 1/2 inch off that measurement. And on your waistline as well, you want to take the same 1/2 inch off. So you at the bust point, you have 0.5 inches more than the under bust and the waistline. And when you draw it out, you should have something like this. You can see the line isn't straight. The under bust and the waistline are the same, and the bust point is a bit slant. Now you want to measure 1/2 of your shoulder measurement there. 1/2 of that, with the exception of your neckline. Whatever you have, you want to make the marking. Make the marking and connect that line to your bust point. Now we're going to be constructing the real dart for the bustier. You want to come out by 2 inches on the under bust and 2 inches on the waistline and connect both together. Then connect those lines to the bust point in a curve. Make it a bit slant like that. And that's the dart. So now we'll move on to the shoulder now. For the shoulder dart, you want to come out by 1.5 inches from that line there. 1.5 inches for the dart there and connect it to the bust point. So that's the dart for the shoulder and connect right up to the bust point and the under bust. to the waist. So you want to make that marking there. That's the dart. We're going to be cutting off in a bit. Now, because you've taken 1.5 inches there, you're going to come out by 1.5. You're going to add that dart back over there and reconstruct your shoulder line. You're adding back that dart 1.5 inches and you're going to reconstruct your shoulder line. So you want to draw another line for your armhole right down to the chest line. Once that is done, you want to find the midpoint of your armhole. Whatever you have there, you would find the midpoint. So just crossing that over because we don't need that line again. So find the midpoint, make the marking and come in by half an inch, and draft your front panel armhole. This is the front panel armhole. You want to come out over the corner there by 1 inch to make the construction of your armhole easy. So that's the front panel armhole constructed. Now for the horizontal measurement, your bust circumference divided by 4. Whatever you have, add it on the chest line and add your 2 inches sewing allowance. The same measurement applies to your bust point. So you need to connect the line from the chest line to your bust point. Just a straight line. So for the underbust, you want to divide your underbust by 4. Whatever you have, you want to make the marking. Then you have the 2 inches that allowance. You add it back. Add that. Then you want to add your 2 inches sewing allowance. Now the same applies to the waistline. Your waistline, the circumference divided by 4. Whatever you have, make the marking. Add the 2 inches that allowance that you've taken over there. 2 inches that and 2 inches sewing allowance. And you want to connect all the lines together. And this is what you would have once you've connected that together. As you can see, the line there isn't that much of a shape, depending on the client you're working with, because our shapes are different. Once the blouse is stitched, it will give the client more shape. So you want to grab your scissors and cut. Everyone is different. Like I said, a plus size is different from a skinny size, so the way the pattern will form itself will be different. And for the dart allowance, if you're sewing for a very big person, you want to add 2.5 for the dart instead of the 2 inches we took for the dart. So here I'm cutting the dart. So you can see how that is being cut. So I'll go ahead again and cut the rest of the dart. And that's our front panel done. Very easy, not complicated at all. Made-to-measure clothing are more expensive because you're sewing according to the client's stature and not a one-size kind of top that would fit at the bust and wouldn't fit by the waist. So it's so important you customize your bustier to fit the client you're working on. Now we're going to be cutting the back panel. Grab another fresh paper, and the first thing we'll be doing here is to add our zip allowance. I'm going to be taking 1.5 inches for the zip allowance. You want to make the marking all the way down, then you roll a line, and that's for our zipper. If you're sewing a blouse with a zip at the back, you need to add that zip. Then you start adding all the measurements we added on the front panel. If you remember, our shoulder, the armhole, the chest line, bust point, on the bust, and the waistline. For your neck depth, you're going to be taking 1.5 inches, and for your neck width is 3 inches. And you're going to be connecting that all the way to the zip allowance. I haven't done that here. I'll do that in a minute. You need to connect that to the zip allowance. So I moved on and constructed the shoulder slope 1 inch down over there, then connected it to the neckline. Here I'm connecting the neckline to the zip allowance. Then I'm moving on to the next stage. And what it is, you want to find the midpoint as well. This is your back armhole. Go up there by 1 inch and construct your armhole for the back panel. And that's the back panel armhole done. You want to start adding the dart allowance we added at the front, which is 4.5 inches. For the back allowance is the same 4.5. You're not taking half an inch off the underbust and half an inch off the waistline. So you want to come up there at the bust point by 1 inch. Then you take 1 inch on each side for the dart. 1 inch there, 1 inch there. That makes up the 2 inches we took at the front panel. So that's 2 inches in total on the waistline for the dart. So we've connected it to the bust point. And now I'm gonna start adding all my measurements again. My bust circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. I'm gonna go ahead and add my under bust circumference divided by 4, the dart allowance and sewing allowance. The same thing applies to the waistline. My waist circumference divided by 4, dart allowance and the sewing allowance. And I'm gonna connect all the dots together from the chest line to the waistline. Now you want to grab your scissors and cut out the back panel. All ready. You want to open up the zip allowance. Open up the back panel where the zip allowance is. Now this is your back panel. Very easy and straightforward. Now the front panels and back panels are ready to place on your fabric and cut. And when cutting on the fabric, you want to remember to make sure to add your seam allowance round the shoulder and your armhole. Round the shoulder and your armhole on your main fabric. Now we've come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Till then, look after yourself and bye for now.